Welcome to the Cove Show, everybody. My name is Dan. This is Chris. This is Kenzie. This is Nathaniel. We are so excited you're here. Okay, let's take this off. Yeah, all right. So glad you guys are here. Did I hit you in the face again? Oh,
Two
Chris.
for two.
Sweet. We're so glad you guys are here. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a fantastic day. Before we get going on this thing, there's something that you guys have noticed. I want to just mention this real quick. Our friend Jake is not here with us today. He's actually moving back to San Diego. And just wanted to say thank you to Jake for everything that he's meant to Shelter Cove and the Student Ministries team. I'm so glad to have worked with him. Do me a favor, actually, friends, as you're watching this, in whatever platform you're watching it on, in the comments, would you guys write down what are your favorite memories with Jake? Just something that stands out to you as something that you really appreciated about him. Or maybe if there was a talk that he did that really stood out to you and that impacted your life in a certain way. I would love it. I think it'd be such a great way to remember and honor Jake and his sacrifice for Shelter Cove by just letting him know how much we appreciate him and what he's meant to us. So go down there in the comments, just let us know what you guys think. That would be really, really awesome.
If you guys have been following along with the Cove Show, the last 4 weeks we were talking about being sidekicks. If you guys haven't seen that series, go ahead and check it out. It's a really cool series that we did. I think we all really enjoyed it. We're going to be launching into a new series now called Chill and Vibe. And what we're going to be looking at is finding peace in this season and trusting and kind of just relaxing with God, really leaning into Him. This season can be kind of hectic and, maybe some people are going to be moving on to the next thing, graduating, either seniors or 8th grade, and what that looks like. Maybe you are finishing up school or whatever it looks like for you. The season can be kind of busy or boring. So we're going to be looking at how to find peace in that and just how to chill and vibe in the season.
You guys noticed that I asked the Gen Z dude to introduce this series because I shouldn't say the words chill and vibe. It just doesn't. It doesn't vibe.
Let's roll off the tongue.
We even asked some of you guys to give in your answers on how you've been kind of finding peace throughout this either crazy or hectic or who even knows how to describe it kind of time. So let's check out your responses.
So one of the biggest ways I've found peace throughout this quarantine is just by knowing that God has a plan and that He will get us through this. One of my favorite verses that I'm reading right now is Deuteronomy 31:6. And just to me, it's saying that God is not going to leave us and He will always lead us through.
My family has been able to find peace during quarantine by really focusing on others more and trying to be grateful for what we have, because I think we're pretty lucky during these times, and so we've just been enjoying each other's company and praying about it, that this will all end, and yeah.
It's always so great to hear what you guys have to say about whatever we're talking about. So thank you guys for responding. Super excited to continue to give you guys this opportunity to get on the Cove Show. I wanted to just take a second with these guys while you're sitting around this little table with me. What is it that you guys do in this season that helps you find peace? Kenzie, what do you do?
Well, I've learned from I went from working with 24 kindergartners for 6 hours a day to pretty much nothing aside from school. Right. So I was very, very, very busy all day and still very energetic. And I learned very fast that I need to keep myself busy or I was going to lose my mind. So I really got into baking. I used to do it with my dad. I kind of avoided it. So I got back into it, and I've been baking bread and cakes and sugar cookies and cooking.
Those cookies were good. So good.
Like I said, we stayed up till almost 3 a.m, baked 60-something sugar cookies, and then went and delivered it to friends and family and whoever, just to kind of cheer people up. I've also gotten into writing. Well, I've always enjoyed writing, but now I have no excuse not to do it because I have all the time in the world to do it. And playing guitar and piano and music has really, really kept me grounded. I've always kind of expressed a lot of feelings and emotion through music and writing, so that has definitely helped maintain whatever absolute mess and chaos is going inside my head.
All right, cool. Chris, what about you? What do you do to find peace in this time, man?
So I just like being busy. So I've been cleaning my room and then redecorating my room and redoing my room, then making my room a mess, then cleaning it again. Basically, I just like being busy because if I'm just staying still, then I get nervous and I'm like, I missed something or I didn't do something. So me just being busy and doing things helps me have peace.
I've noticed too when I am not keeping something to do, like beyond just not having peace in my soul, I think it kind of there's the phrase like idle hands, something about idle hands, devil's work, something about that. When there's little to do, I think that is a good place for the temptation of sin to enter our lives as well. So just kind of as a little caveat to like finding peace as a part of doing good or doing things. Also, a good way to stay out of trouble is by just finding stuff to do. Pretty cool. Nathaniel, what do you do to find peace?
It's funny you say that. Whenever I'm at work, I work at Target, and I'm talking to people. They're always like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just working a lot." They're like, "Oh, it keeps you out of trouble." So it's just kind of funny that you mentioned that. I'm like, yeah, it does keep me out of trouble. For me, just to find peace, definitely music is a big part of that. Similar to what Kenzie was saying, just being able to, whatever I'm doing, just play some music, put on my headphones, and just kind of be in my own little world. I like to listen to.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Yeah, so I listen to. I listen to worship like during my quiet times, but then throughout the day, there's a lot of Christian but non-worship music that I love to listen to. Some like the Christian rap artists and stuff. I like to listen to their stuff. Just to bring that in, just music into whatever I'm doing, and then just talking with my friends as well. There's plenty of time now that we all have, like we all can agree on. So my friends and I will hop on, like Zoom with you guys, or I got my friends and I will hop on like Discord for all the gamers, if you know that, and we'll talk just about random stuff, a life, but even just sitting there with them, I find peace in that too.
That's cool. Nice. I love it. Wait, let's press pause on this, and we'll come back, and we'll come back to that talk. But I think it's time. You guys have seen these things all around us.
These terrible things.
These terrible torture devices. Let's have some fun. Chris, you're ready. Chris, you're ready. Why don't you go first for us? So he's gonna read a thing off of his card, and we have to guess what he's saying as these things are in our mouths. You ready, Christopher?
Christopher.
On your mark, get set, go.
Horror.
Corner.
Horror.
Quarter.
No, I skip.
I skipped.
Did I get that count? Okay. Magical.
Mysterious.
Wizards meat.
Wizards meat.
Meat.
Wizards meat. Wizards wheat. Wizards
Meat.
Leave.
Meat.
Read.
wheat.
Meat.
Magical mysterious wizards.
Meat.
Wheat.
Weed.
W-E-E.
Heed.
Heed.
Me.
Lead.
Lead.
Heat.
Dude, you are not good at this.
No, you guys aren't good at this.
You said that perfectly.
Yeah.
W-E-E-He.
Wheat.
Wheat.
Yes!
Oh,
Why
you.
did
Pork chops and mashed potatoes.
Mashed
Pork
Pork
potatoes.
chops and mashed potatoes.
You're done.
Hind
You're
ham.
done.
5. You got 2? My turn. Oh yeah, let's do it upside down.
Ready, set, go.
I can't quickly hop the balloons.
I can't quickly pop the balloons.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Little uns.
Blue balloons.
Uns.
Blue
Greens.
moons
Uh-huh. Are
are
wicked
Wicked.
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Blue ones are wicked fun.
I'd rather squash than wash.
I'd rather squash than
and
wash. Wash.
Wash.
Wash.
Squash.
My brother is from Mars.
My brother is from Mars.
Boats floating on water.
Boats floating on water.
Lawyers wear pantsuits to bed.
Lawyers wear pantsuits to bed.
You speak baby.
Lauren
really
Kegel, aka Jan.
Lauren Kegel?
Lauren Keyhole.
Lauren Keyhole?
Some blind keyhole?
Blind?
Fine. Boring people make me yawn.
Keyhole.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On your mark. Get set. Go.
Speak out.
Ponder.
Wander.
Wander. Ponder.
Lice.
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 Mysteries.
Mysteries. Ponder life's mysteries.
Or lice.
Method
Method.
to the oceans.
To the oceans?
To
the motions.
A flamingo
A flamingo?
wearing goggles.
Wearing goggles.
Uh-huh.
You guys are great.
Watch wacky
Wacky.
friends play.
Play. Watch wacky friends play.
Low that ridge.
Wait, do the first word again.
Low
Well,
that ridge.
that
That
ridge.
bridge.
That bridge.
is earned
It's burned.
2 hits.
To bit.
A nun
What? And then
played
played
paintball
paintball
Paintball.
viciously.
viciously.
A nun. Right?
Right. Time. How many did you get?
6.
6. 2, 6, 6. Kenzie, your turn.
I have to.
Don't
I
get
can't get
6.
6.
On your mark.
Wait.
No. Get set.
Ah!
Go.
I'm trying. Allowing.
Annoying.
Allowing.
Lying.
Allowing.
Annoying.
Allowing.
Roying.
A-E.
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 Annoying.
No,
A-E.
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 Allowing.
You sound like my.
Blowing.
Yes,
Oh, boy.
allowing raspberries
Blowing raspberries.
on her belly.
On a belly.
On her belly.
On a belly.
Never.
Nothing.
Never.
Another.
Never.
Never.
Let.
Letter.
Theirs.
Let a curse.
Theirs.
Stick.
Neighbors.
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 Eat hot wieners.
Eat hot
Wieners. Never let neighbors eat hot wieners.
Fishing.
Fishing.
Or.
Fishing for.
Fishing
Flounders.
Flounders. Alien.
Time.
It hurts me.
Oh.
You have such hard ones.
How many did you get?
3.
3.
No, I got 2. I didn't even get the last one.
Who designed this game?
That was awesome. So much fun. We'll do another round in just a minute. But before we do that, we're going to keep going with this chill aspect. So we talked about what we do for peace. What I have discovered, though, is we can do a bunch of things, but we can also find peace through reading Scripture. I think there are Bible verses in each of our lives that kind of help point us to God in the middle of chaos, in the middle of really difficult situations, where we can remember Him and where we can find peace in Him through His Word. So, Nathaniel, you went last time. So why don't you tell us what's a verse in your life that when chaos is around you, what do you go back to?
Yeah, I always go back to Lamentations 3. If you've never read Lamentations, it's a wild book, but chapter 3 is a gem. In verse 21, is it okay if I read it?
Please do.
Okay. It starts off, "But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." It goes on a little bit more, but it's just so good. It just hits some really, really amazing characteristics of our Father. You know, that He has steadfast love. You know, no matter what is going on, His love is just going to remain the same. Like, it's steadfast. Like, it's not shaken by the things that may shake us or that shake the world, but it's always going, and it never ceases.
There probably is a few things that have shaken us, right? And shaken the world.
Yeah.
In recent times.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So take that, Ron. And then also it just mentions, His mercies never come to an end. They're new every morning. That idea is so cool that every morning, we say it's like a new day, but really, God views it the same way as well. It's a new day. He's gonna just pour His love out on us each and every day, again and again. It's so cool. And then great is His faithfulness, just that the Lord is faithful to never leave us, to always love us, to be with us, to give us strength, to give us peace when we ask for it. He's always faithful to do that. There's just some three really cool things about our Father that we can see in that passage.
It's awesome. It's really, really cool. Chris, what about you?
Okay. So this so for me it's Proverbs 3 5 through 6, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. So the first time that I read this verse, or I heard this verse, was kind of like in this song. I think it's called "The Climb" by Will Reagan. And I was at summer camp, and that was the summer when my dad just passed away, and I was getting ready to have open heart surgery. And so after hearing that verse, everything changed my life during that time. And that verse, every time I read it, brings a whole new level of peace to me.
When you said The Climb,
Yeah.
I thought
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. That's 100% where my mind went.
Me too.
And,
I don't know.
That says
Now
so
it's
much
over.
more about me than I wanted it to. But that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a good passage. Kenzie, what about you?
I have a verse from Matthew 6. The first time I read Matthew 6 was at Wildwood, which was a summer camp, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. If you're anything like me, I worry constantly. I worry about small things, worry about big things. I remember when J.O. was talking about anxiousness, and he referenced cats are afraid of cucumbers because they just automatically assume it's a snake. And I do that. My cucumbers are snakes in my head. And I love this verse, these few.
Hold on. So if I put a cucumber down on the floor next to you, you would
Look.
Prove it. Oh, a cucumber on the floor.
Picks it up and eats it. Take that, anxious, anxiety, whatever. But I really like the end of Matthew 6. It says, "Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his or her span of life?" And I love that, because I heard a quote sometime, and it talks about sometimes you worry yourself so much you put yourself through the experience twice. And I'll do that. I'm definitely guilty of doing that. So much so that I have this thing in my head where if I know bad news is coming, I feel like I have PTSD where I'll do this thing and I'll sit down and I'll in my brain prepare myself for any and every possible situation, so that when the bad news comes, it's not like another shoe's dropping. And it's just I've been sat down and told bad news time again and again and again and again that now I just almost expect it sometimes, and I'm so on edge about it that I have to remind myself that God's gonna look after me, and I don't need to prepare myself because He's got me. And rather than putting it on myself, I can give it to Him. And on all times, especially through all of this, the fact that I could take something that I can't control and go, "Okay, God, here you go, help." And He's like, "I got you." That's the best feeling. It is the best feeling.
I think you said something, and each of us were like, "Oh, it was so good." Say it again, because I want to make sure that I get it right. But it was, if you think about something, you do it again.
You sometimes you worry about something so much before it happens that you put yourself through it twice.
Yeah, put yourself through it twice. Gosh, that's
really
solid.
good.
I have that written
really
down. I'm like,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Really
feel
good.
that.
We so much and that's that's really good. Thank you for that. Thank you. I love how I asked you guys to find your passage on peace, and each of you guys went from different places of Scripture and found these, and they're all so helpful. And there's so many different passages about peace in our lives that we can find from God, that He gives us the things that we need to make it through. And it's just really, really cool. And my prayer, my hope for you, actually in the comments below, why don't you guys tell us, do you guys have a Bible verse that when things get a little crazy, where is it that you go in the Scriptures to find a little bit of peace inside your heart? That's awesome. I really love that. I'll tell you what, let's press pause on that one more time. Let's come back to it. But let's play another round of Speak Out.
Yeah.
We started with you, Chris, so let's go over here and start with Kenzie this time.
Yes.
Kenzie, you got 2 or 3?
2.
You got 2. We got 6. You got 2. So the Fowlers are pretty terrible at this game.
And we own this game.
You own it, but you
Shots
don't.
fired. Shots fired. All right, you ready?
Uh-huh.
I don't know why I'm about to do that. Okay, here we go.
We all need to do it.
I'm
Okay.
Mark. Get set.
Okay. Us.
Alois?
No, us.
Bubba's.
Us are cute.
Argue.
Are cute.
Argue.
Are cute.
Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Eggs.
Makes.
Moldy.
Moldy.
Muffins.
Muffins.
Moldy muffins?
Yes. Pelicans.
Pelican.
Pelicans.
Love.
Love.
Hollylog.
A lovey log.
Hollylog.
Hollywood.
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby.
Hollylog.
Loggy log.
Hollylog.
Holly log.
No. QRLNOP.
P.
Hollylog.
Polylog.
Hollylog.
Polylog.
Hollylog. Falafels.
Falafels.
Is it
Is it?
paradise?
Paradise.
R-A.
R-A.
Her-A.
Pere.
Her-A.
4A.
Four.
Fantastic.
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 Vacation.
Vacation.
Nanny.
Nanny.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Never.
Never.
Links.
Rinks.
Links.
Stinks.
Links.
Rinks.
Links.
Your time's up.
Ah!
Oh!
I get 2 points for that.
Alright, good job. How many points did you get?
What was it?
Blinks.
Blinks.
Nanny nobody never blinks.
Those B's, man.
I was expecting, yeah, the bees are
So hard.
I got 4.
So you got 6 total.
Yeah.
So Nathaniel, no pressure, but I mean, if you get 1, you beat Mackenzie.
Well, thanks.
right,
Nobody
then-
gets what he's saying.
On your mark.
Oh,
Get set. Go.
I wish I could. Okay. Right.
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 Bright.
Right.
As a button.
As a button.
Bright as well.
Wise guys
Wise guys.
eat fries.
Eat fries.
Eat fries.
Yes, eat fries.
That pigeon
That pigeon
sent me an emoji.
sent an emoji.
Sent me.
Sent
me
me
an
an
emoji.
emoji.
Uh-huh. Music
Music.
makes
Makes.
grandma
Grandma.
oogie.
Uji.
Music makes grandma.
Which?
Oogie.
Oogie.
Ugly?
Boogie.
Ugly.
Oogie.
Boogie.
Music makes grandma boogie.
Plenty.
Plenty.
Pointy.
Porcupine.
Porcupine.
Quills.
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 Uh-huh. Oh no. Eager. Riches.
What?
Riches.
Witches.
Riches.
Magical.
Magical.
Broomstick.
Broomstick.
Time is up.
Woo! That was smooth, man. How many did you get?
6 again.
Alright.
Okay, show off.
Little did they
Ah.
know
David,
I've been
it's upside
training
down.
for
We're
this.
upside down. There we go. My turn.
It was
Here we go. Come. Alright. Pearl is a hair cell.
Purple is my favorite snail.
Smell.
smell. That's weird.
My belly hurts belly flop.
My belly hurts from my belly flap.
Pineapple pastel hands.
Pineapple pastel pants.
Grass grows faster when watched.
Grass grows faster when watched.
Pancakes on a hot sickle sticks.
Pancakes on a popsicle stick.
Hoodles with magnificent mohawks.
Poodles
Uh-huh.
are a
mag-
magnificent.
Yeah.
Poodles with magnificent mohawks.
Okay.
Mom likes yummy applesauce.
Something likes applesauce.
Ah.
Mom. Mom likes.
Likes.
Runny
Makes.
applesauce.
Mom
Uh-huh.
makes.
Yummy.
Yummy applesauce.
Pinchy on the back of my neck.
Pinching on the back of my neck.
We'll have to risk it for the
Time is
biscuit.
up.
Risk it for the biscuits.
Yeah.
Classic.
How many did you get there?
You really
That's a lot of-
flew.
Yeah,
That's a lot
I
of-
like guessing them.
we know.
All right, here we go. What do we got? I just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no pressure. You have to get 12.
I can do that in 5.
15
Times.
hours.
All right, you ready? I'm Mark.
Nah.
Get set.
Piano.
Piano.
Playing polar bear.
Piano playing polar bear.
Yeah. Hamsters wearing top hats.
Hamsters
Hamsters
wearing
wearing
top
top
hats.
hats.
Polar hot healer. Hans.
Something. Wait, what?
Hot healer.
Popular?
Popular.
Yeah. Hans.
Songs.
Prawns.
Prawns?
Yes.
Popular
Are
prawns?
pink.
Are pink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's falling off a rose?
What?
Balloons
Balloons?
falling
Falling
Oh.
off a rose.
off a hose?
Rose.
Rose?
Yeah. Monkeys never hurt kites.
Monkeys never make pancakes?
Kites.
Fly kites.
Kites.
Fly kites.
Bagpipes.
Yeah.
Bagpipes.
A whale's
No,
tail
it's
makes
bagpipes.
waves.
A whale's tail make waves.
Gaga. Ha Friday.
Something Friday.
Ha
Hurrah.
ha.
Hurrah.
Time's
Ha.
up.
Yeah, for Fridays.
Fra Friday.
Fra, fra, fra. Awesome. Guys, I think I'm the winner. I think I just won by like 2
A few.
points.
I do have 8
Yeah.
points.
So I'm the loser.
Yeah.
You're just fourth winner.
No, I'm the loser.
But I'm the first
Definitely
loser.
wins in.
Wins and losers.
We ask you kids
We asked you kids
to
to
give us your hair.
You want to try that again?
Honey.
So good.
His mouth went yeet.
His mouth needed it.
Marcia made the joke first.
We ask you guys to give us your hair verses
we asked some of you guys to give us your favorite verses
about
about
peace.
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 And here they are.
and here they are.
A verse that brings me peace is Romans 5:3-4, and it says, "We also rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character, and character produces hope." This verse really brings me peace because I often find myself wondering, like, what I did wrong and why God is punishing me whenever I'm going through a hard time. And then I think back to this verse and I realize that God gives us trials not as a punishment, but to grow our relationship with the Lord and with the people of this world, and ultimately just improve our character and make us a better person. And He always has our best interest at heart.
So cool to see you guys reading your word, finding more about peace in Jesus. It's great. Let's do just one more little bit. I think this could be an interesting little experiment. What would be if you guys could go back in time and visit yourself when you were 16, 15, whatever, 13, in junior high school? What would be one thing or a couple of things that you would tell yourself in this time right now? Chris, go.
I think for me, for like myself and like 16-year-old, because I did not prioritize my homework, because I was mainly like in theater, band, and show choir. I made those events in my life way more of a priority than my homework. So I would go back and go do that essay and read that book and ace those tests, because I kind of, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Procrastination. Yeah. Just, I would tell myself to stop procrastinating.
And how would that kind of relate to peace in your life?
I would be, when it was like, so if it was like, if Wednesday was the due date, the week before that, I would be completely fine with peace. But that Tuesday, I would be freaking out, and I caused myself to not have peace at all, because I put myself in that situation and not doing my homework and not doing the things that I should have been doing, instead of going to band practice or rehearsal and not doing my homework on the times when I should be doing it.
Yeah. So the peace comes from not having to like stress about doing something last minute and then being worried that it gets done at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That really resonates with me, what you said, Chris, about priorities. Like, definitely, if I could speak to 16-year-old me, it would be get your priorities straight. Like, I'm sure 16-year-old me during the quarantine would be gaming super hard, not doing anything. I know that because I'm kind of doing that now, and I'm trying not to. Just real talk with you guys. But
So,
I would tell him, yeah, like, hey, like, prioritize this stuff. Like, schoolwork absolutely matters. Like, it's very important, but prioritize what's really important. Like, my eternity. Like, focus more on my walk. Focus more on, hearing from God and listening to what He has to say and growing in my relationship. Because school is important, but it's not the most important thing that I have. And I think if I would have gotten that advice, like if I would have done that and prioritized my walk more, I think it would have set me up now even better than I think I'm doing now and stuff like that. So that's probably the advice, just priorities. Get those. I don't know why I said weird priorities.
Priorities.
Right. Get my
Emphasis.
priorities straight.
Yeah.
Definitely. Would be my advice.
Totally. That's great, man.
Well, 16-year-old me was in a complicated spot. Realistically, if all this had happened when I was 16, I would have just lost my dad maybe a few months ago, like 2-ish months ago. It was really weird. He passed 20 days before my sweet 16. And that followed up until the last few months. It was hard for me to grasp on not just the idea of celebrating my life, but living my life and putting myself in a place where I could reach out to others and say, hey, I'm not okay. And I think a lot of the focus right now is on our physical health. That's why we social distance. That's why we're staying in our homes. That's why we can't be here with you guys. And I understand that, but I think it's so important to recognize, even at 16, if I was 16, I wish I would have recognized better mental health. That it's a thing, that anxiety at a young age is a thing, and I had no idea what it was. I had no idea why I felt so scared that I was vomiting. I was so anxious, and I didn't even know what anxiety was when I was your age, when I was that age. Taking that into consideration and reminding myself that there are things that I could do, like reaching out or reading my Bible or praying or writing or getting involved in areas in the church where I felt alive, where I thrived, where anxiety didn't exist for me. If I could go back to 16-year-old me, I would tell myself that even amidst all this chaos, to check in with myself, check in with God, check in where I'm at mentally, and then to check in with others. Reach out, guys, because even if we're doing this for our physical health, your mental health is just as important. There's no point in having physical health if your mental health isn't where it needs to be, because that lapses too. And I wish I would have taken that. I wish I would have understood that more and felt more comfortable talking about it when I was that age, because it's a hard thing to talk about.
So true. I think we touched on your physical health. Like, we're being responsible for the most part, and maybe a little bit too close. But physical health is very important. Emotional health, absolutely. We need to take care of ourselves. But then also, Nathaniel touched on spiritual health. Here's what I want you to do. I didn't tell you I was going to do this,
Great.
but I want you guys to think of a number between 1 and 10 that would rate yourself at how well you are doing those things that you told yourself you'd go back and talk to. How would you rate yourself right now at doing those things that you just told yourself you'd go back and tell? So Chris, scale of 1 to 10. 10 is like, I am doing really well with this. I don't really struggle with procrastination. Like, it's no big deal. Or, man, I wait until the last minute to pee. I don't know.
I think like 8 or 7, because like right now I'm not in school, but when I go back into school this fall, then like that's what I'm more nervous about. But I think right now I'm doing great with procrastination. I'm not doing great at procrastination. Not doing procrastination. Because I think because of this quarantine thing, like I cleaned my room. Like that's been something that I've been procrastinating.
Yeah.
And redoing my room. So it's been like a 9, not 9.
Nice. All right. That's great, man. Real good. Nathaniel?
Honestly, a 5 probably.
Yeah.
Not too good. I think part of when I was thinking about what advice I'd give myself is, in the past, is also kind of like recognizing that need that I have right now. So yeah, but like I'm working through that, and like obviously sharing that now with you guys gives me a little bit of accountability to kind of get that number up a little bit since it's out there now.
I want to say like maybe a 7 or 8.
Okay.
I think I've come a really long ways mental health wise, and my relationship with Jesus has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
And something that I used to be embarrassed to talk about, now I'm almost proud to talk about, because I think embracing my flaws has allowed me to grow through them, if that makes sense. It makes them less flaw-y, like.
Totally.
So I still struggle. I still feel I really struggle with feeling like a burden. So I tend not to reach out even to my best friends. But I've definitely made progress, as in that I recognized my father not talking about his mental health cost him his life. So I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to be in that same boat, and I don't want to do that to my family.
That's great. I asked you guys, kind of knowing that none of us would be 10s, and kind of knowing that, like, a lot of times the things that we know we need to work on are just like, and for people who speak, like, and for me, I typically, and I know that, like, I preach like this idealistic world of how things should be and how we should act and how we should live and the way that all of it should work. But I know that living it out and actually walking with Jesus is a lot more complicated than just saying it. And I kind of wanted to do that as an encouragement for the students to be like, hey, like, we're right there with you. You know, as we are kind of, we're older, we have more experience, a little bit wiser, but we get what it's like to struggle and to have issues with focusing or even just wanting to veg out and play video games all day. Or we know what it's like to have anxiety. We know what it's like to just not want to do our homework and just sit on our butts and play video games or do whatever it is that Chris likes to do. So we get it. And in this season, finding peace can be difficult, but it absolutely can be done. And hopefully you guys can find peace in God's Word. You can, maybe you got some good verses from these guys here, or maybe in the comments you can see some. But we just want you guys to know that we love you. We're so excited for the future of Shelter Cove Student Ministries. Be sure to follow us if you're in high school at Shelter Cove HSM, junior high at Shelter Cove JHM. That's our Instagram tags. Love to have you guys follow us. Check us out online. Send us a message. Send us emails. We'd love to chat with you guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Awkward goodbyes.
Just a little bit too
A
slow.
little bit too slow.
Yeah.
Wow, only 7 hours.
Man, is it warm in here?
Yes.
warm.
Oh my
Yeah.
lord. Yes.